Ladies and gentlemen, relationships are built on connection, honesty, and understanding. Yet, even in the closest relationships, women often hide certain things from men, not because they want to deceive, but because they want to protect. Behind her silence, there is emotion. Behind her secrets, there is fear, experience, and self preservation. In many relationships, people often misunderstand why. Women sometimes withhold their true feelings or thoughts. It's easy to assume that secrecy means dishonesty. But in most cases, it comes from a place of protection rather than deception. Women are emotional beings who experience life deeply. And when they choose to keep something hidden, it's often a shield to protect their hearts from further pain. They have learned through experience that complete openness can sometimes lead to judgment, misunderstanding, or emotional harm. This act of holding back is not about manipulation. It's about maintaining emotional balance and safety in situations where vulnerability might not be reciprocated or respected. From an early age, women are often taught to be cautious with their emotions. Society sometimes sends the message that showing too much feeling makes them appear weak or unstable. As a result, many women grow up internalizing their struggles, learning to smile even when they are hurting. This conditioning creates a habit of emotional self-defense, a quiet form of strength that allows them to navigate a world that doesn't always value sensitivity. When a woman hides her pain or fears, it is not because she wants to lie to the man she loves, but because she is afraid that revealing too much will push him away or change how he sees her. Additionally, women hide things as a form of emotional intelligence. They often sense when a man may not be ready or capable of handling the depth of their truth. It's not about doubting his character, but about recognizing emotional timing. A woman might hold back her feelings until she feels secure enough to share them, or until she knows her vulnerability will be treated with empathy rather than dismissal. This self-restraint requires great emotional awareness. It's her way of protecting both herself and the relationship from unnecessary tension or misunderstanding. Moreover, hiding certain truths can be a survival mechanism, shaped by past experiences. Women who have been betrayed, judged, or invalidated in previous relationships tend to build emotional barriers. They become more selective with what they reveal and to whom. Every hidden truth becomes a silent lesson learned through heartbreak. It's not that she wants to deceive the man she's with. Rather, she is waiting for proof that her heart will be safe in his hands. When women hide, it's not to distance themselves. It's to give love a chance to grow in safety before it is fully exposed. Many women present a strong, confident image to the world. Yet, beneath that surface lies a complex web of insecurities. These insecurities can stem from societal pressures, past experiences, or personal expectations that constantly remind them they must be enough in every area of life. Beautiful enough, successful enough, smart enough, and loving enough. The pressure to maintain this flawless image becomes overwhelming, forcing many women to wear a mask of strength to conceal their silent battles. They smile even when they doubt themselves, and they project confidence even when they are questioning their worth. This ability to appear composed even in moments of self-doubt often confuses others into believing that they are unaffected by fear or insecurity. A woman's insecurities often develop from the subtle comparisons she encounters daily. Social media, beauty standards, and even cultural expectations can make her feel that she constantly needs to prove her value. These external standards create an internal war, making her doubt her appearance, abilities, and sometimes even her emotional worth in a relationship. Instead of sharing these struggles openly, many women hide them behind independence or self-sufficiency. They fear that if a man sees their insecurities, he might perceive them as weak or needy. So they continue to act strong, smiling through doubt, carrying themselves with confidence, and pretending they are not affected by the same vulnerabilities that every human being feels. However, this mask of strength is not meant to deceive. It is a form of resilience. Women hide their insecurities because they want to protect their self-esteem from being shattered. They fear that opening up about their fears of rejection, inadequacy, or failure might make them more vulnerable to pain. This emotional armor allows them to move through the world with dignity, even when they feel uncertain inside. It's their way of reclaiming control in a world that often judges imperfections harshly. Instead of letting insecurity define them, they choose to wear strength as a shield, a way to keep moving forward without letting their self-doubt consume them. Yet, the paradox is that the very strength they display can sometimes become a barrier to intimacy. When a woman hides her insecurities too well, the man in her life may never realize that she needs reassurance, understanding, or emotional support. Her silence becomes misunderstood as indifference, when in reality it is a quiet cry for acceptance. Beneath her calm exterior lies a heart that longs to be seen, not for perfection, but for authenticity. She doesn't need someone to fix her insecurities. She needs someone to see beyond them, to recognize the courage it takes to smile through uncertainty, and to love her not just for her strength, but for the vulnerability she works so hard to hide. Every woman carries with her a story, some chapters filled with joy and love, and others marked by disappointment, heartbreak, or betrayal. These painful experiences don't simply fade away. They shape how she thinks, feels, and interacts in future relationships. When a woman has been hurt deeply before, she learns that not everyone deserves access to her most fragile emotions. Her silence, therefore, is not emptiness. It is wisdom earned through pain. She becomes cautious with her heart, careful with her trust, and selective with her vulnerability. To others, this may seem distant or secretive, but for her, it is a way of protecting the parts of herself that were once broken. Her quietness is a shield built from memories of when being open led to disappointment. Women often hide their past pains because revisiting those wounds can be emotionally exhausting. Talking about betrayal, loss, or rejection means reliving moments that once shattered them. For many, it's easier to bury the pain than to reopen old scars. In relationships, they fear that revealing too much about their past will make them appear damaged or too emotional. So they stay silent, not because they don't want to share, but because they're afraid that doing so might change the way a man sees them. They want to be seen for who they are now, not defined by what they have endured. That silence, however, carries depth. It speaks of strength, of survival, and of the quiet battle to heal without making their past the center of their present. Moreover, when a woman has experienced emotional pain, she becomes sensitive to warning signs. She observes more, speaks less, and pays attention to consistency rather than promises. She hides her past experiences, not only to protect herself, but also to prevent her current partner from feeling burdened by her history. She knows that not every man can handle the weight of what she's been through. Her silence is her way of giving the relationship a fair start, free from the shadows of old wounds. She wants to move forward, to love again, and to trust again. But she needs time and emotional safety before she can fully let go of her guardedness. Her quietness is a transition space between fear and faith. For many women, healing from the past is not a straight path. It's a process of rediscovering trust one step at a time. They might smile while hiding memories of betrayal, or laugh while remembering moments of heartbreak. This duality, the ability to appear whole while still healing, is one of the strongest yet most misunderstood traits in women. It's not dishonesty, it's survival. The pain they've faced in the past has taught them what kind of love feels real and what kind feels dangerous. So, when a woman hides her past pains, it is not because she doesn't trust her partner. It's because she is learning how to trust herself again. Each moment of silence, each guarded expression is a quiet reminder that she is protecting not only her heart, but the hope of one day being loved without fear. From a young age, women are often taught to regulate, contain, or even silence their emotions, to fit into the world's expectations. Society sends subtle yet powerful messages about how a woman should behave. She should be calm, composed, and graceful, no matter what she's feeling inside. When she cries, she's told to be strong. When she speaks passionately, she's labeled as too emotional. These repetitive lessons train women to suppress their true feelings, teaching them that expressing pain or vulnerability might lead to being misunderstood or judged. Over time, many women internalize the belief that emotional honesty is a sign of weakness rather than courage. They learn to wear a mask of calmness even when their hearts are in turmoil, simply because the world has taught them that emotional silence earns more respect than raw honesty. This social conditioning becomes so ingrained that even in relationships, many women struggle to express their true emotional states. They fear being seen as dramatic or overly sensitive if they share their insecurities or frustrations. Instead of voicing their needs, they often retreat into quietness, hoping their partner will understand without them having to explain. It's not that they don't want to communicate, it's that they've been conditioned to believe that showing emotion might push people away. The pressure to maintain an image of strength leaves them emotionally isolated, carrying burdens they wish they could share. This internal struggle between wanting to express and fearing judgment becomes a silent war within, one that many women fight daily behind composed smiles and calm voices. And that's why some cultural expectations also play a significant role in reinforcing emotional suppression. In many societies, women are praised for their nurturing, self-sacrificing nature, but criticized when they put their own emotions first. They are told to be the peacemakers, the ones who hold everything together, even at the expense of their own emotional well-being. As a result, they often hide feelings of sadness, frustration, or loneliness because they believe their role is to remain strong for everyone else. The burden of maintaining harmony becomes heavy, yet they continue to carry it silently. This suppression not only impacts their relationships, but also their mental and emotional health, as they lose the safe space to be authentically expressive without fear of being misjudged. The tragedy of this societal expectation is that it robs women of one of their most beautiful qualities, emotional depth. When women feel forced to hide what they truly feel, they lose touch with their own emotional identity. They begin to question whether their feelings are valid or worthy of being shared. Over time, this silence becomes a habit, and the natural flow of emotional connection turns into guarded restraint. And a woman who hides her emotions isn't cold or detached. She's simply been taught that silence keeps her safer than honesty. She may long for someone who understands her beyond her calm exterior, someone who allows her to express freely without being told to tone down her emotions. Until then, she continues to wear her emotional strength like armor, concealing the sensitivity that society never gave her permission to show. Many women often conceal their true emotional needs, not because they lack the desire to express them, but because they fear how those needs will be perceived. In a world that often glorifies independence and strength, women are subtly told that needing affection, reassurance, or attention makes them weak or dependent. As a result, many women suppress these desires, pretending they are fine when they are quietly yearning for emotional connection. If you just zoom and look at Horinaye probably suffers from emotional yearning when all of these desires are emoted. They learn to say, "I'm okay," when they are not, and they give love freely while hesitating to ask for it in return. This silence does not mean that they don't have needs. It means they have been conditioned to believe that voicing them might lead to disappointment, rejection, or misunderstanding. Emotional needs such as affection, validation, and consistent reassurance are fundamental to human connection, yet many women feel guilty for wanting them. They hide their longing for deeper intimacy because they fear being labeled as clingy or demanding. Instead, they show strength, independence, and composure, hoping their partner will intuitively understand what they need without them having to ask. Because when those needs go unnoticed, it often leads to emotional distance and quiet sadness. The irony is that the more she hides her needs, the more disconnected she feels. She doesn't want to burden anyone with her emotions, She just wishes someone could see beyond her silence and meet her unspoken needs with empathy and care. This habit of hiding emotional needs also stems from past experiences where vulnerability was met with disappointment. Perhaps she once opened her heart only to be told that she was too much or too sensitive. Those words linger, teaching her to guard her heart more carefully the next time. So instead of expressing her desires openly, she chooses subtle gestures, hoping a hug, a look, or a quiet moment will communicate what she cannot say out loud. It's not that she lacks the courage to speak. It's that she has learned from experience that sometimes honesty can lead to pain. Her silence becomes a language of protection, a way to preserve her dignity while still craving genuine emotional closeness. For many women, hiding their emotional needs is also a form of selflessness. They often prioritize others' happiness before their own, believing that love is about giving, not asking. They listen, support, and nurture while quietly suppressing their own needs to avoid seeming selfish. But beneath this calm exterior lies a deep desire to be understood without having to explain, to be loved without having to ask, and to be cared for without having to prove their worth. Rufus Nolintham, a woman's hidden emotional needs are not signs of weakness. They are reflections of a heart that has learned to love deeply, yet cautiously. Her silence speaks of both strength and longing. The strength to carry her emotions alone, and the longing for a connection where she no longer has to hide them. Emotional safety is the foundation upon which trust and openness are built. For many women, the ability to express their true selves depends entirely on whether they feel safe mentally, emotionally, and spiritually with their partner. When a woman senses that her emotions will be heard, respected, and valued rather than judged or dismissed, she begins to open up naturally. It is not about demanding transparency. It is about creating a space where vulnerability feels welcome. Women are deeply intuitive. They can sense the tone of emotional energy in a relationship. If they feel tension, criticism, or inconsistency, their instinct is to withdraw. But when they feel secure and accepted, they blossom into their most authentic, expressive, and loving selves. Emotional safety allows a woman to take off the armor she's worn for years and show the softness she has long kept hidden. Many women have learned through experience that not every space is safe for vulnerability. In relationships where their feelings were minimized or ignored, they built invisible walls to protect themselves. These walls are not meant to exclude their partner, but to shield their hearts from potential harm. A woman who hides her emotions is not being secretive. She's being cautious. She needs to know that her honesty will not be used against her later, that her tears will not be seen as manipulation, and that her fears will not be dismissed as exaggeration. Only when she feels consistently seen, heard, and validated does she begin to lower those walls. Emotional safety is not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about a partner who listens without judgment and loves without condition. When a man provides emotional safety, he becomes more than just a partner, he becomes a refuge. A woman begins to trust that her vulnerability won't be met with silence or indifference. She feels safe to share her doubts, dreams, and even her flaws. In that safety, she rediscovers her voice, the one she's been taught to silence in the past. This kind of security allows her to communicate more openly, resolving misunderstandings before they grow into emotional distance. Emotional safety transforms love into something deeper. It becomes a connection rooted in truth rather than fear. It tells a woman that she doesn't need to hide her pain to be loved or pretend to be perfect to be accepted. In that environment, honesty becomes a natural response, not a forced act. Emotional safety also empowers a woman to bring her full self into the relationship. When she feels protected from emotional harm, she doesn't just speak openly. She begins to love more freely. Her laughter becomes more genuine, her affection more uninhibited, and her connection more profound. The walls she once built start to fade, replaced by trust and transparency. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's cultivated through patience, consistency, and understanding. A safe space is created not through grand gestures, but through everyday kindness, listening when she speaks, respecting her emotions, and standing by her even when she is at her most vulnerable. When a woman feels emotionally safe, honesty ceases to be a risk. It becomes her most natural form of love. True love does not demand control. It flourishes through understanding. When a woman feels truly understood, she doesn't need to hide, defend, or explain herself endlessly. She opens up naturally because understanding creates emotional oxygen in a relationship. Many women withdraw not because they don't love their partner, but because they feel misunderstood or unseen. When her emotions are met with criticism or impatience, she learns to silence them. But when they are met with empathy and care, she finds her voice again. Love, therefore, is not about power or dominance. It's about two people creating a space where both feel heard, valued, and free to be their authentic selves. A woman thrives in love when she feels emotionally safe enough to reveal the deepest parts of her soul without fear of judgment. Understanding is one of the most powerful forms of love because it bridges the emotional distance that words often fail to close. When a man takes the time to listen, not to respond, but to truly understand, he shows that he values her inner world. He doesn't rush to fix her or dismiss her emotions. Instead, he makes her feel that her feelings are valid, even when he doesn't fully agree with them. This level of emotional intelligence transforms the dynamic between them. It turns moments of tension into opportunities for growth and strengthens their emotional bond. Women hide less when they feel understood because understanding tells them they are safe, respected, and accepted for who they are, not for who someone expects them to be. Unfortunately, many relationships break down when control replaces understanding. When one partner tries to dominate the other's emotions, thoughts, or choices, it creates fear instead of connection. Women who feel controlled often retreat emotionally, concealing their true thoughts to avoid conflict. They start to edit themselves, saying only what feels safe to say. Over time, this erodes intimacy and trust. Control breeds silence. Understanding invites honesty. A man who seeks to understand rather than control creates a relationship where a woman can express herself without fear of repercussion. It's not about agreeing on everything, it's about honoring each other's differences with compassion. When love becomes a place of understanding instead of power, communication flows effortlessly and both partners feel emotionally fulfilled. In the end, the strongest relationships are not built on authority or perfection, but on emotional comprehension. A woman who feels understood will naturally give her best, her loyalty, her affection, and her truth. She will no longer need to hide her emotions because she knows she is loved for her realness, not her restraint. Understanding teaches both partners that love is not about changing each other. It's about growing together. When a man chooses to understand instead of control, he unlocks the deepest level of connection, a love that is patient, empathetic, and enduring. For a woman, that kind of love is freedom. The freedom to be seen, to be accepted, and to finally be herself without fear. In the end, understanding why women hide certain things from men isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Behind every hidden emotion, every unspoken truth, and every quiet moment lies a story of protection, strength, and experience. Women do not conceal their hearts out of deception. They do it out of wisdom shaped by the lessons life has taught them. When men learn to look beyond the surface, to listen, to empathize, and to provide emotional safety, they begin to see the truth behind her silence. Real love is not about uncovering every secret. It's about creating a bond where secrets no longer need to exist. When a woman feels safe, she becomes transparent, not because she's forced to, but because she wants to. She opens up her world to the one who makes her feel seen, not judged. In that space of mutual trust and compassion, love evolves into something deeper, something genuine, peaceful, and unbreakable. Because when honesty feels safe, hearts no longer need to hide, they finally begin to heal.